You have the ability to issue a citation, correct?
Yes, we do.
And in order for me to understand what I may or may not do tonight, I want to understand what you think is unlawful.
It's unlawful to sit, sleep, or lay on the sidewalk.
And breathe nowadays.
Sitting on the sidewalk's illegal now?
If there's a parade, obviously you can sit on the sidewalk.
Well, there's a little bit of a parade tonight, so
okay. Well, show me the
permit for it.
Yeah.
And so, let me ask you this: will my children be cited as well, or just me as their?
It depends. Who's blocking the sidewalk?
I'm trying to understand the definition of blocking the sidewalk. What we're going to do is...
I'm not going to see it any further.
I'm not looking for any debate. I just want you to tell me how it's going to be. I don't have any position on it. I'm looking for your position on it.
We're on a parking lot. We're not on the street or the sidewalk, so they can't get us for lying down. That's actually one of the facts. If you're on private property, you cannot be arrested by the police unless the property owner makes a complaint. I don't know if people who are on the street, you may not know that, but in California, the laws about sleeping on the sidewalk or sleeping in public or sitting someplace apply to public property, mostly streets and sidewalks. Parks have their own rules. But when it comes, in California, when it comes to private property, if you're from another state, the laws are probably different there. But in California, the law is if you are on sitting, sleeping, lying, living, whatever, taking a bath on private property, unless the property owner has a complaint and calls the police, you're not breaking any law.
If the police are planning on doing some enforcement, and you have warrants, and you're in the area where we think they're going to be doing it, if you have warrants, if you're a minor, or if you have issues with your residency in the United States, you might want to consider that, because it's much worse if those issues, because where somebody might be cited and released, which is still technically an arrest, but you have warrants, you might get taken to jail. So.
Anybody sleeping on the street tonight who has a question?
Yeah. When the cops come like they did last night at 11 o'clock, and half the cops tell us that we're able to stay, and the other half tells us we can't, and then unofficially we can, and officially we can't, what is it we're supposed to do at 11 when we've already like spent the entire day doing what it is that we need to do to get through the night with?
So Jones was a case, Jones versus the City of Los Angeles. Initially it lost in the lower court, and then it went to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, where it won based on the 8th Amendment, which is cruel and unusual punishment. And then the city made a decision to appeal it and go up to a higher court. And what happened was that at that point, through settlement, they reached an agreement. And I can't tell you what to do, because the problem is if the police, if the city, the LAPD representing the City of Los Angeles, refuse to honor the settlement, you know, I don't know what to say to you about what you should do immediately. But I do know if you have any reasons like you know, a dog or a kid or a warrant or all the issues that might, you know, you might want to pick another area, because
your question, I'll give you an answer. Maybe right now, basically what the police are saying is that the only place a homeless person can legally sleep on the sidewalk is downtown Skid Row. So you want to go down there and get hit up for crack all night long?
We're better than that.
We're trying to get off of that. I think there are two separate questions here. One is what's actually legal. What can the police legally enforce? The other is a practical question of what are they really going to do?
Yeah.
So those are very separate issues, right?
Different cops are going to do different things depending on the order that.
My biggest question was, should I sit there and run the risk of getting a ticket, or should I pack up my stuff and continue to walk until I can't walk anymore?
That would be a personal decision.
That's your decision.
If you sit there, I think you should be aware that you may get cited, you could be arrested, you could have legal issues, you could have financial.
This is the answer that's worked for me for the last 12 years on the streets of Santa Monica and Los Angeles. My first question to the officer, very respectfully, is have you received a complaint from the property owner or the property owner's agent, which meaning in common terms the security guard? Did the building security guard complain? Did a tenant call and complain of the building? Did the landlord call and complain to the police? Did you get a complaint from a citizen, or were you just driving by and saw me sleeping here and are chasing me out of here? That's my first respectful question to a police officer if I'm on private property.
All I can say...
And let me just answer that quickly. And then if they say to me...
I've ever met in my life are standing right here.
Yeah, it was really...
The friendliest people I've ever met in my life are standing right here.
It's been really
They are
disappointing.
kind to each other all the time. All the time.
All we've been trying to do here is like have somewhere that people can be safe and have like some sort of community, because we all have each other's back, and we've been cleaning the street. We've been trying to like keep it clean every day and like be respectful of, you know, not blocking the sidewalk and stuff. But then when the cops come along, while we're all just standing and try to ticket us for loitering and something about like you can't have more than a certain amount of people or else you're considered a domestic terrorist group or whatever, and yet all we're trying to do is have a place where we can be safe and feel comfortable. Because so many places around the city simply won't accept us because who they assume that we are. It's
we are safe here. We keep each other safe.
Can I ask you a quick
Everybody
question?
keeps each other safe.
Where did that come from about a domestic terrorist group?
I'm not sure if it was just a rumor or whatever, but I heard a law was being passed that says that if you're in a group, if you have a gathering of more than a certain amount of people, you're considered a domestic terrorist group. With like conspiracy against the government.
That's what Occupy
stupid.
And that's what they're trying to like run us out.
As far as NDAA, there was a few things. If you have more than 7 days worth of food in your house, it's one of those silly things that qualifies you as possibly falling under a terrorist. So that was a national.
7 days worth of food.
No, it's the National Defense Authorization Act that was passed resoundingly by Obama and everything else maybe about a month ago, perhaps.
Yeah.
But there were very much ridiculous things. Indefinite detention of American citizens without trial, and it's more than 7 days worth of food. It may be. Ian, do you have any specifics on that?
Anyone the president or the administration classifies as a terrorist until further notice, and you know they could take you to Guantanamo Bay and you'd never have right to a jury trial or anything to determine that. You know, there's common law rights that go back to 1215 in England when they signed the Magna Carta. One of those is right to coastal access. So if what they're saying is that the Jones settlement only applies on Skid Row, what they're saying is you people, because you happen to be poor, don't have right to coastal access. Something someone else, David, said about necessity. It's an ancient maxim of law that necessity knows no law.
No, what these people are saying is they are not going to put themselves in a position to be robbed of everything that they have on Skid Row.
Good enough. But what I'm trying to tell you is
they're fighting together, and that's what they're saying.
What they're doing is they're sweeping people to Skid Row out of the nice neighborhoods. Brothers?
Remind everyone, I just want to say at a real simple street practical level, because I had an experience recently where I was very much harassed and harangued by the police, by the LAPD, and someone stayed and stood by me, near me, to stand as a witness, because these things may happen over the next few weeks and months. I've done a lot of street activism with people who were brutalized by the police and psychologically whatever, and I just want to say, if any of you are in groups or you see one person, especially one person by themselves, or you're in a group and the cops come and you all start to scatter and run, if you see that there's one person left behind, do not leave them behind.
Exactly.
You stand, you make sure you, like you said, we have each other's backs. You stay, you have their back, and you stand as a witness. If they don't have a witness, they don't have anything except their word against the cops, and you know how well that works. So make sure you say things like, and it's good civil rights training too, about make sure you say things like, am I being detained? If they say that, then the next step is you say, am I being arrested? If they say no, you have every right to say then, am I free to go? And make sure you stand up for your civil rights in a very polite, kill them with kindness kind of way. Make them feel ashamed, but don't do it with aggression.
Yeah.
You know, and just always don't leave any one person ever behind,
alone.
Especially a disabled, mentally ill, especially those folks, you know, someone who might have, like, they're going to get arrested because they got a warrant, whatever. Stick around, even if they're genuinely getting arrested for whatever good legal reason. Stick around so that they don't get twisted and hurt.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah, stand there and stay as a witness.
Okay, so I want everybody here to know that Tuesday night at 6 o'clock, there's a legal clinic. And if you get a ticket, or if you're arrested, or you're just harassed and you have some documentation that you would like to come and turn in, it's at 6 o'clock this Tuesday at 720 Rose. And then there's going to be one in a couple of weeks after that. So this Tuesday night, 720 Rose. Does anybody need to know where that is?
What's the building?
It's a legal clinic. If you got a ticket,
What is that building?
it's the Venice Community Housing Corporation. It's right across from the Whole Foods parking lot, just before Lincoln, on the right.